this short video is designed to help you visually see how you can capture a signature of maybe your administration or someone on campus if you happen to be the person in charge of printing 300, 400, 700 certificates of some kind. So right now you should see my desktop, and then right over here I have an icon that says Adobe, and it's for the Creative Cloud. Now let me mention that you should have a fairly new-ish updated computer in order for this to happen. Not all of our Windows 10 computers will grant you the opportunity to download these licenses. So if you don't have this little quick link available on your desktop, there might be the possibility that you can't do this. So signing in, you're going to use the long form of your email in order to sign in, and there's no password needed. So in the little email blank, you're going to type in first name, last name, you're going to spell out Clovis, then usd.k12.ca.us, and then I'm going to press enter on my keyboard. It gives you two options, and you're going to choose the one that says company or school account. Once you do that, you'll be fully signed into just the Adobe Creative Cloud. From here, you'll have a list of different resources that you can download that have been designed by, sponsored by Adobe. So if you are interested in Lightroom, if you're interested in Photoshop, I'm going to click on the word apps right here. All of those tools will populate in just a second. So Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, each of these resources are available to you as an employee of Clovis Unified. Now, I don't recommend that you go along and click install for all of these. Only install the ones that you feel that you're actively going to use. That way, I think it saves the school district money. I think that's what I heard. We're charged based on the download. So download anything that you want, anything that you're going to use, but try not to download things that you might not use. So Photoshop is available right here. And then after you notice that Photoshop is here, you are going to have the blue install button. I've already installed it, so I don't need to install it. I can just click on the open button. Now, in this resource today, it is my plan to model how to capture someone's signature as a PNG file. Now, you can capture it as a JPEG file. The only problem with capturing a JPEG file is that you're going to have a white background on that. And sometimes you don't want the white background. You want to be able to put that signature onto a document that's going to print blue or green or turquoise or some other color behind it. And you really don't want that chunky white box to follow the signature. Now that you're in Photoshop, you want to create a brand new document, or a brand new file rather. So go ahead and click right here where it says Create New. You're going to have this little utility pop up asking you some questions: what size, what orientation, what type of resolution do you want? And I have one right here that's 7:5, and it's got a 300 dpi. If you don't have that, then you're more than able to just come over here, and then maybe this is the signature for Mickey Mouse. So signature for Mickey Mouse. I want to look at my file based on inches. 7:5 is fine. A resolution of 300 is perfect. And then you actually don't want a background color at all, but I think it defaults to either white or black. But I'm going to take that background away from the file in just a second, and I'll model and show you how to do that. So I'm going to click on the Create button right here. And here we have a white background, and I really want it to go to a checkerboard background because the checkerboard background says that there's absolutely nothing behind this file at all. So step number one, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on the little lock right here. And then the next step I'm going to do What I did just now is I held the Control button down on my keyboard. So it's 2 buttons to the left or 3 buttons to the left of the space bar. And then I touched the letter A, saying that I wanted to select all or everything on the screen. And then I pressed backspace on my computer. So Control A and then backspace, and then everything disappeared. And if you look really closely at my screen, it looks like there's some marching ants that are going around the outside of the document. In order for those marching ants to stop, I just clicked right here in this empty space that is not important. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the stylus, the little pen that's on the side of the computer if you have a yoga. If you don't have a yoga, you're not going to have this little magic pen that slides out of the side of your computer. So in order to perform this task, I recommend that you borrow someone's computer on your staff who has a yoga, and then just say, hey, can I borrow it for an hour or 2 hours or lunch or the whole day? Swap computers. Sign into that person's computer using your credentials. They're going to sign into your computer with their credentials. They're not going to have any access to your top secret stuff. They're only going to have access to what they normally have when they sign in. So you don't have to worry about anybody stealing any of your top secret sensitive information on your computer. So right now I slid the stylus out of the side of my computer. It's in my hand, and then I'm going to use it on the screen. So over on the left-hand side, you can see how those boxes are illuminating. My stylus is coming close to them, but not touching any of them. So if you hang out on any one of these buttons long enough, it will actually have a small pop-up telling you what happens when you use that tool. And I'm looking right here for the paintbrush. The paintbrush is the tool that I'm going to use. Let me mention something up here. Inside where it says edit, right here it says step backward. So if you make multiple mistakes, the best thing to do is either to come up here and click edit followed by step backward over and over again, or learn how to use Alt Ctrl Z together. Normally in a Word document, Microsoft Word, if you make a mistake, you can just click the undo button over and over and over again and keep going back in history. Or maybe you click Ctrl and Z together and then you can go back. Well, unfortunately, in this resource, it's only going to do one thing when you do Ctrl Z, just that one thing. So if you want to go back in history 6 or 7 steps, then you're going to have to do Control, Alt, Control Z as many times as you need to undo some of those mistakes. I think that's really important. Now, if you get frustrated or discouraged and it doesn't work, here's another option. Another option is right up here. You can just close out the file that you've used and then throw it away and you can start over. So there's usually a solution if you're having a problem. So right back here, I've got the pen tool. And then right over here is the color that's been selected. It's usually going to default to black, but if for some reason you want to change those colors, you can slide up and down along here. And then you can bring this black dot in over here, and then you'll notice how that purple spot changed. But we're going to save time and energy. I'm going to pull it all the way back down to this deep, dark black corner down here. And now I'm going to start writing. So I'm writing on the screen. This is going to be the signature for Mickey Mouse. And there we go. If you want the little eyeballs and the nose on there, then you can come back and put those in there. It's up to you. So if you don't like it the first time, I'm going to hold down Control Alt Z, and you can see how each of those little pieces are disappearing. And so I clicked Z, Control Alt, and then I lifted my finger and then did Z over and over again. And that's how all of those things went back in history. So here I have my stylus, Mickey Mouse, because sometimes we don't get our signatures perfect the first time we do it. So as you're working with someone, if they want to try their signature over and over again, then you can. Or another option is that they can write on the screen several different times. And then once you have selected your favorite, then what you can do is you can crop that. So let me teach you how to crop it. Click on button number 2. After you click on button number 2, then what you're going to do is the problem I have is I've got the marching ants. So let me click right here and get rid of those marching ants. And now I have the power to draw a rectangle around my perfect signature that I love right there. and then I want to come up over here and I want to crop the image. So I clicked on image in that upper toolbar, and now I'm going to click where it says crop, and then everything else disappears, and then there I go. Now I've got the signature that I liked the best. Or if you change your mind and you're like, oh man, I like that first one better, well then Ctrl Alt Z, select the one that you like better, come up to image, and then go ahead and click on crop. And then there you go. You want to make sure that you save those changes. You want to make sure that you save it as a PNG file. So if I come up to File, I want to export this file, or I want to save as. Let's go ahead and click on Save As. And then from here, save it in a spot that's important for you. I can just choose desktop for now. And then I saved it at the very beginning, but I didn't pay attention to where I saved it. So just to keep everything tidy and in order, I'll say M Mouse signature, and then I can move it wherever I want to later. Please note that it's a PNG file. Not all the time is it important, but if you want to make sure that there's no background in there, then PNG is going to be what's important for you. Now I'm going to click the Save button. It's going to ask you what size. I'm going to go ahead and just choose large. That way, if it's ever a huge document or I need a big size of that signature, then I've got that. Now, for this portion of the video, I'm going to model how to work with a JPEG file or a PNG file if you're inside a vividly colored PDF file where you want a signature on every single page. So PNG files and JPG or JPEG files work differently. On something that has background color like this, my first choice is to have a PNG file come in because it's not going to have that white background. I'll show you the difference between the two of them. So one possibility, I'm inside Adobe Acrobat Reader, by the way. So if you're in Adobe Acrobat Reader, somebody sent you a PDF file and you want to go in and make some changes. One thing that you can do is you can add an image. So I clicked on the plus symbol over on the right to show how you have different tools and resources that are over here. And what I want to do is I want to modify or adjust this PDF file, and I want to bring an image in. So you can either click on the plus symbol down at the bottom, or it's very simple. You can just click Edit PDF File right here. So when I click on that, I'm going to model watermark in a little while, but I'm going to come over here to Add Image. When I click Add Image, I want to bring in the Mickey Mouse signature that's specifically the PNG file and not the JPEG, because I've got two different ones. I ended up saving one as a JPEG. So I have a JPEG over here, and then this one over here is my PNG file. So let me bring in the PNG file. It popped up right here in the middle, and I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to resize it. So I'm going to click on the corner when I have only a two-headed arrow. That's going to let me scoot it in so it's smaller. When I have a four-headed arrow, it's going to let me move it. So I'm going to bring that signature down right here. So now the signature, it's up to you what size you want it and where you want it specifically. I'm using the arrows on my keyboard to scoot it over. So if I want to, I can click on the outside of the box. If you don't already know how to do Ctrl plus C, and that means copy, then I'm going to hold the Control button down on my keyboard. I'm going to touch the letter C for copy, and I just copied it. I'm going to scoot down the page just a little bit, and then Ctrl V for victory, and you'll notice how it pasted it in exactly the right spot. Now, if you're giving out 900 awards, I don't know that you really want to go through 900 pages and then do this over. Oops, this is a good demonstration for me. What happens if the signature goes in the middle? Control Z for undo, and then I just need to make sure that I scoot down far enough so that it can actually see where the signature is supposed to go. So it would be painful for me to do this 900 times, but that's one strategy. So if for some reason your principal's out at a conference for 6 or 7 days, these awards desperately need to go out and you don't want that little white box behind it, you can go through and get the principal's signature on each one of those. So that's one way of showing how to get it in. I'm going to hold Ctrl Z down, and it's going to go all the way up to the tippy top of the document, and I just erased all of them. So, well, almost all of them. So if I keep doing this, it'll, okay, so now it's gone. So here's the other way to get it in. You can click watermark, and you can add a watermark, and we don't want a watermark, we actually want a signature, and we want a file. The only problem with this is that it's not going to let me bring in the PNG file. It's only going to show the JPEG file. So I can't have the PNG, I can only have the JPEG. So let me double click on the Mickey Mouse signature. And unfortunately, this is going to require a couple level of tweaks. We're going to have to adjust the position and the opacity and those sorts of things to get it right where we want it. And we may not have the power to get rid of all of that white in the background. You might have a little bit of white left over. So see how I'm adjusting the opacity right here? Okay, so then you kind of scoot this however you want to, and then you're kind of gonna get like more of a charcoal color instead of a vivid black on that signature when you do this. So that's step number one. And then we want to shrink it. So here I am relative to the target page size. And then you're going to go through the process of shrinking it just to the size that you want. And then the other thing is that you're going to utilize these two buttons down here to scoot it down and to either scoot it to the left or over to the right. So if you're overly persnickety about not wanting to see that little white box, which is why I gave you the tutorial on the PNG file, and the PNG file works splendidly if you don't have a colorful background, because then you wouldn't have to worry about the opacity. If the background is white, well, then you can have that white in there. Or if there's a couple other reasons why it would work out fine. So you can kind of mute out the whiteness a little bit. You'd end up with charcoal colored letters, and then you can kind of just make a couple adjustments here as you see fit so that it's perfect. And then you're going to click OK. The stopwatch is going to show you that it's going to take some time, and then I believe it's supposed to show up on every single page. So there you go. If you have 900 certificates and you don't want to do the copy paste all over again, and you're using Adobe Acrobat Reader on a finalized PDF, then this is one option for you. Inside of a Word document, you can actually just use the stylus directly on that Word document. All right, so here I am in a Microsoft Word document. If you just need a signature on one file, or if you want to drag and drop, you can drag and drop the files in here. All right, so here I am in a Microsoft Word document. I'm going to model how you can drag and drop those signatures in here instead of using the Adobe Acrobat Reader, and I will also model how you can actually write on the screen as well. So again, please remember that I'm using a yoga and that I have a stylus. If you don't have a stylus, you can still draw the signature. So if you click up here where it says draw, you can actually just use your finger, choose the black pen, and then I'm just using my finger to write out Mickey Mouse. And I don't feel like I have as much control without the stylus. But you can actually disengage from using the pen, click on select, and then you can resize this however you want, and then scoot it around and move it wherever you wish. So don't feel brokenhearted if you don't have a stylus. I just feel like my signature turns out better with a stylus. So I clicked on draw up at the top. Okay, you'll notice how that's been selected in the ribbon. And then using the stylus, click on the black pen. And then Mickey Mouse is right there. And then, like I said, click select, click on here on the signature, and then whoever's the signature you need to move around, then you can just readjust it as you see fit. If you don't want the signature to go cattywampus on you when you readjust it, you can hold the shift button down, shift. You can hold shift, and then whenever you readjust it, those aspect ratios aren't going to go wonky on you. And then you can turn around and move that wherever you want. Your other option is that you can actually just drag from your desktop and then drop any of those other signatures in here. So you can use the stylus and then move it around, or you can just drag in any of those other files if you wish. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention. So let's say that you have the dear somebody, and then you have lots of text going on in here, multiple sentences, whatever, and you might be having difficulties with one of your signatures, putting them exactly where you want. Like every time you move it somewhere, things go wonky on you. If it's the one that you wrote with the stylus in the document, Word already knows what to do with it. However, if you bring in a file from your computer, here's one thing that might be important. Choose the right-click button after you have selected that signature, right-click, and then wrap text is going to be your friend. You can choose behind text or you can choose tight in order to have the power to move that wherever you want. So you'll notice that those words aren't jumping all over the page anymore. So if you drag and drop a signature into spot and the text is not behaving nicely for you, please use that as an adjustment resource. Click on it, followed by right click, choose where it says wrap text, and then choose one of these options in here so that it behaves nicely with that text. This feels like it was a long tutorial. I'm sorry. I'm hoping that some part of this resonates with you and that it ups your game when it comes to adding a signature to a document or a file of some kind. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.